All right, my last article I got here is actually consumer prices post biggest decline. This is Market Watch since 2008 as coronavirus put clamps on inflation. 2008, the Great Recession, CPI took a huge plunge then. CPI, Consumer Price Index, this year, or actually in 2020, since the pandemic has also crashed. So it says that economists polled by MarketWatch also forecast a future almost 1% drop, and the prices of gas have gone down. The pace of inflation over the last 12 months have slowed to 0.3% from 1.5 in March and 2.5 at the start of 2020. So we were really at an inflationary rate that was really quick compared to the last maybe 20, 30 years. And then, so what has happened is gas prices have crashed, but the other part of that, and clothes, auto insurance, hotel rooms, plane tickets, all of that has tanked because of the stay-at-home orders. But some prices that have increased and that are in high demand are, of course, groceries. Those jumped 2.6%, and then real high percentage because of the viral outbreaks are meat packing plants. And so the cost of chicken and beef have surged 5.8% and 3.7% respectively. And so, and in a bit of surprise, cost of home ownership and rent rose about 2.2%. So it's kind of all over the place as far as that, but for sure, consumer price index have tanked. And so they say the big picture is inflation is falling, is unlikely to be a problem for a long time, despite piles of new government spending and debt. And so even though the government is issuing all this money and printing money at a rapid pace and handing it out, which usually causes inflation because of the way that America is spending, it's reined back in inflation. And so this isn't usually a place where we kind of touch on in the economics of the US, but one thing I thought was interesting when I was reading this article and thinking about it is pricing strategy behind going forward, and how I think after this pandemic, and we talked about this earlier in the show, you talk about, the recovery of the economy is going to be slow. I'm just wondering how much, and I think, luxury spending or things like that, depending on which industry you are, you're going to have a really hard time climbing back out of this. And so I'm wondering if there's anything that you guys kind of in this area either experience in your personal life where you're paying a lot of money for things that, you may thought, why is this more price? Or from like a business standpoint, do you see this impact of the coronavirus lasting and how you can kind of see that impacting the businesses going forward?
Yeah, I would say I'm fortunate or unfortunate to be, and I'll say why I may be unfortunate, but I'm fortunate financially to be somewhat unaffected by these kind of numbers. I remember when I'm a big meat eater. You look at me, you'll be surprised, right, that I like to eat meat. So I'm a meat eater. And more importantly, also one of the statistics on there looking at me, it's probably not going to surprise you that between the different kinds of meat that I eat, I would prefer beef over chicken. So I was pretty happy to see that the beef cost didn't go up as much as the chicken cost. I was like, yeah, that chicken cost went way up, but I eat beef, so I'm good, right? But the reality is, for me, the financial reality, so it's just me and my wife, and you don't eat that much of groceries when it's just two of you, adults at home, that kind of thing. So these to me, these are relatively small increases. And I think about it that way because I remember when I saw in the news, because I am a meat eater, meat's like, I got to have it at every single day. I have to have meat. And my wife's Chinese, and for most Chinese, eating meat's a big thing too. So particularly pork. And so when we saw in the news that, there's these problems with the meat packing plants and it's going to cause prices to spike, there was a part of me that was like, oh crap, we're not going to get our meat. What are we going to do, kind of thing. But when I saw the article that you picked and I saw those differences, I'm like, I don't know why I was worried. Those kind of differences are not, for the amount that we buy, those kind of differences are not going to be hugely affected to us. Now, I say the reason why that story for me, there's some unfortunate piece to it is, if you I'm not a family man. I don't have kids. That's why it doesn't affect me that much. I don't have a big family that I'm trying to feed. I think about my younger brother who has 4 boys. The grocery bill's a big thing. It's a big thing. Or Charlie. Charlie's got kids. The grocery bill, I'm sure, is a big thing. So this is a totally different issue when you've got a family with kids than if you're just a what do they call us? Dual income dinks.
Yeah,
Dual
Dink.
income, no kids. When you're just a couple of dinks, this kind of thing is not that doesn't really affect us that much. But for you family guys, I imagine you're thinking about it.
Well, I just want to say, so a couple things. So number one, I'm a huge meat eater too. So I'm with you on that 100%. I love both chicken and beef. So I'm kind of torn on that piece of it. As far as the kids goes, my kids are little enough that getting them to eat meat consistently is a gigantic issue in and of itself. So that's already going to be a challenge right there. But the thing that's been kind of the most surprising for me that I didn't foresee happening out of this whole pandemic is how much my mom texts me about how much beef I have or how much meat I have. My parents are constantly writing me like, hey, Charlie, we know you eat meat. So I just want to make sure that you're stocked up. And if you need any beef, you can kind of come over and get some. And that's just like something that wasn't even on my mind until the prices. I was like, man, beef prices must be getting really high if my mom is texting me. So that's been my experience. What do you think, AJ?
Well, I'm vegan, so that really doesn't play. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not vegan.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, what?
Oh,
No, I'll tell you what it has done. It's really changed my gift buying kind of thing. In fact, Tiffany's birthday is coming up, my wife's birthday. And so for her birthday, I'm getting her a 12 pack of toilet paper and 2 steaks. And basically, that's she's totally excited about it. So,
that's luxury.
yeah,
it does sound
those are luxury buys, let me tell you.
really.
So,
You're celebrating on the way in and the way out.
yeah. Right. Oh my God, I'll use that one. What do you mean you're disappointed? It's a celebration in and a celebration out. And I got double ply. Don't worry. Like, I guess my heart goes out to people that, I'm in kind of the same boat as Ty. Like, even though I have grandkids and stuff, we don't have anybody that lives with us. I don't have to pay for those little guys. So, as far as our consumption goes, you're right. I mean, I can pay $30 for a steak. That's fine. But it wasn't too long ago that $30 was my monthly allowance or weekly allowance for food. I haven't always had a really good paying job. And so, yeah, I mean, I do remember those days when a price increase on beef like that or chicken would have been a really hard thing. The other thing I think about is restaurants. You have all these to-go restaurants and everything. We're going to see a consumer price increase in what we're paying for delivery food. They're going to have to pass the increase on to the consumer. And so, even though inflation's down, you're still going to be paying probably more for produced food to support your local businesses. So restaurants are already a really hard business to run. And if you're talking about increasing cost in the, already spoilable, cost that you carry as cost of goods sold, it makes it even more difficult to work on those razor thin margins. So that was the thing that I thought about, are those restaurants, bars, and kind of those low margin businesses that rely on food or consumer goods to keep going. How much of a struggle it's going to be for them and for lower income families. And that's, I think, the real thing about this is, that bottom half of society that really struggles paycheck to paycheck. That's where this hits the most, I think.